now tuned into Women of Power.
Kea Simone.
With Kea Simone.
Kea Simone.
Never lose yourself. Trying to find someone else. Hey. Women of Power.
Kea Simone.
Women of Power.
Kea Simone.
Women of Power.
Kea Simone.
Never lose yourself. Trying to find someone else. Women of Power.
Kea Simone.
Women of Power.
Kea Simone.
Women of Power.
Kea Simone.
Never lose yourself. Trying to find someone else.
Woman with power. Woman with power. Say yeah, yeah. If you a woman with power, say yeah, yeah.
Hey. Women of Power.
Kea Simone.
Women of Power.
Kea Simone.
Women of Power.
Kea Simone.
Never lose yourself. Trying to find someone else.
Hey, hey, lovely people. It is your girl, Kea Simone, coming to you straight from the 313. And you already know what it is. It's all love. So I'm going to go ahead and send you guys some hearts. Yes, it's all love. So make sure you drop in the comments, send the panel some hearts. We have a wonderful, wonderful group of ladies they're just going to share some really moments that we probably want to forget, but we are willing to come here today and be transparent and share with you guys. So we just want you to just show some love. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because just because you may not need this, you don't know who needs this message. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the ladies in, okay? So first we have Indigo. Now we have Dr. Lola.
Hey, what's up?
And we have Kalinda in the house.
Hey,
Hey, what's going on?
So I want everyone to introduce themselves, because, we can't just be coming on, a platform and not introduce who we are. So Indigo, would you like to go ahead and go first?
Yes, this is Indigo Kali. Give you a call from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm an intentional living coach, and just excited for today to talk about my journey through marriage and divorce and how amazing the life is afterward.
Awesome. And Kalinda?
Hi, I'm Kalinda. I am a real estate agent in Michigan. Also, I am the owner of Kalinda Rose, which is a woman's fashion and shoe brand. And I'm sorry that I'm driving. I just missed my time, basically. It's too close, but that's about it for me.
Well, we just want you to be safe out there, so don't really look at us.
Okay, right.
Try to, pay attention to the road. Lola, how can let's introduce yourself?
Okay, all right. So my name is Lola Ajishaffe. I am an emergency room physician. My side hustle, of course, if you haven't seen me already, I do enjoy speaking on YouTube about different topics. And this topic in particular is something that's close to my heart, because a lot of people have been through it, are going through it, and may go through it. So sometimes us talking about it can definitely kind of guide people into, maybe not getting on this path, or even if they are on this path, they know there's life after this. They're not alone, because a lot of times I think in my time coming up, it was always something of shame that, oh, you know what, she failed and da-da-da-da. So just trying to change the narrative and actually, bringing, not to put down the people who are exes, but just to say how we've survived is really what I'm excited about. I don't want to make it too heavy, but I just want us to talk about it and kind of help people.
So I thought the same thing, Lola, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so heavy. So I just want to start off with a little icebreaker. So it's Saturday. If you're in Michigan, it's cold. You see Kalinda with her coat on. It's cold. I don't know. Amber is in Tennessee. Lola, I think she's still in Georgia.
I'm still in Syracuse. So I haven't got to. I'll be in Georgia, so I'm Syracuse. So I'm looking at. If I open the window, I'm looking at snow right now.
Okay, so she's up here with us up north.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes,
so
yes.
If you could go anywhere in the world today, where would you go? Like, you got your passport ready. It doesn't have to be in the United States. Where would you go?
Me, Hawaii.
Yeah, definitely Greece.
I would go right to Hawaii.
All right. So there's this place in the Bahamas called Bimini. It's an island that's only 8 miles long. So small, but the food is really good. The waters are like crystal clear and blue, and it's paradise. So I would love to be there eating some rum cake at this time.
Okay, so I just wrote that down.
Bimini.
Bimini for
Yeah.
next time because that's not far. So hey. So let's just go ahead and jump into the content because I know everyone has other things to do today. We're all multitasking, but we're just gonna go here. Y'all know my favorite word is hit it and quit it. If it takes longer, we'll do that, but we'll just go ahead and jump right into the topic. And Kalinda, I don't know if you can mute or when you guys are not talking, so we don't get a lot of.
Oh yeah, I can mute it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's just jump right in. We still want Kalinda to be safe, so let's just jump in with the first question, ladies. Growing up, did you witness healthy marriages? So, who would like to go first?
Sure, I'll jump on it. Not exactly. They did the best they could, but they didn't. I mean, you know, they were together for a long time, but the way they communicated, the way they fought, it was at my age, I'm like, yo, they should just quit it. I remember thinking, I was probably about 12 or 13, like, they just need to quit this. Like, what's the point? So I would say I didn't see a great example. I mean, also culturally, where I'm from, originally from Nigeria, the way they look at marriages, the man can do no wrong and the woman's responsible for everything. She's the one who's meant to hold it together. So I feel like my mom already started losing before she even started, because regardless of what my dad would do, it was already kind of going in the wrong direction. And not to get it wrong, my dad is that's the homie. I love him, but I can love him and also see how their relationship didn't really work. And of course, they set a good example.
And I like what you said when you said they did the best that they could, and people, we do it. They don't come with a manual. And that's why we're here today. Because again, I was just like, well, no one really told me it was going to be like this. So do anyone else have anything else to add about healthy relationships growing up, whether it was someone in your neighborhood, your grandparents, someone, did you see healthy relationships?
Yeah, I think I definitely want to say that I saw marriages, because there is a narrative out there that Black people don't get married. They do. We do get married. And I saw plenty of Black marriages around me as the ultimate form of relationship. What I did see were two people who had unhealthy coping mechanisms and unhealthy conflict resolution. And so I definitely want to make that distinction.
So that's a key word that you guys are all saying, like the conflict. And, I know Lola introduced herself, and when she mentioned, like, you don't want to become a failure. So a lot of times people stay together because they don't want to be the ones who look like they quit, or they'd rather just stay in an unhealthy relationship. So Kalinda, do you want to add anything about healthy marriages before we move on?
Yes, I wanted to say that I did. I witnessed a lot, even though a lot of the ladies in my family per se were single. The marriages that I did witness, I did all. The problems were very obvious, even as a child or a teenager. To see that, basically the father infidelities or, not being around as much. So I did see those dynamics, and in a relationship. So I didn't have any healthy marriages to actually I guess model after before I got married.
Yeah, and for me, I would just say I can agree with like what Amber said. Like, sometimes, Black people do get married, and sometimes we just feel like that's just something. If you see other people do it, you're like, well, let me just join the train and just get on the train and get aboard and just get married. And I don't know what we're doing. Like, do you really love this person? Are you thinking beyond? But we'll get more into that later. So yeah, great feedback, guys. So let's see what the next question is. Why did you get married? Why? Like, was it for love? What, what was your thought process when you got married?
That is a loaded question. I realized that was probably the most difficult question for me to think about, because marriage represented so much for me. It was the ultimate destination of a relationship, although no one talks about what happens after the wedding day. But I would say for me, it validated my low self-esteem. Like, just it proved that someone loved me and I'm worthy of love. And I definitely wanted to have a companion. And having that relationship was something that was going to make me feel good about myself, about life for a long time. And maybe it was a way to right any wrongs that I may have done in my past. And that was just going to level set all of it.
Amber, I love that response because I'm feeling that response because, like you said, you don't realize that you have self-esteem issues, and
Yeah.
it did for me. It validated me, like, oh, he picked me, or he wants to spend his life with me. You know, like, oh my gosh, but like, I would have picked you, so it probably would have been no. But it was the fact that I felt like somebody picked me. So, anyone else want to add to that?
I can definitely say, I think for me at that time, it felt like the next thing to do, the next step. We thought we were in love. You know, we wanted to have children. It seemed like a great idea. And so we just kind of went ahead and did it. But in retrospect, I can really see that I didn't really think it through. I didn't really have a reason. I mean, of course, when people say if I knew then what I know now, it probably wouldn't have happened that way. Probably needed more time to learn each other and know each other, really realize that we really weren't meant to be together. But that time, and I think just to cut on what Amber was saying is definitely I feel it was a point in my life where I probably felt a little lonely, met someone, we had something in common. All of a sudden, it's like, you know, this is heaven. Whereas this was just someone filling in a need. But and I think that's what happens sometimes. I think sometimes we get into relationships just because we're lonely. And then I got into a relationship for that reason. And then it just, in my mind, it seemed, oh, this is great. We're best friends. So for me, something important was to be best friends. But unknowns to me, or maybe I was being naive, I was really dealing with a representative. We're both probably dealing with each other's representative. So the important thing is really, for me, if I look back, was I should have spent more time kind of trying to figure things out.
I'm sorry, guys. Her name is Indigo. So I do apologize. That's what happens when you know someone
Right.
your life.
Your mama call you Clay, I'm gonna call you Clay.
So sorry. She said you're confusing the audience, and I didn't even catch it. So sorry.
Indigo, forgive us, because I
And
think I
I
said
know
Amber too.
people give my real name sometimes. People that have worked with me in the past, and they'll say my name, and I'm like, no, do not do that on social media. So I get it. So sorry, guys. That's Indigo in that corner next to me. So would you like to add something, Kalinda?
Yes, I would like to add. For me, when I got married, basically I got married because my mama told me I was going to get married, and I was very young. I was 19. I was a teenager, and I was pregnant, and she was like, "Oh, you're going to have this baby. You're going to get married." So she pretty much made the decision for me. Even though I didn't know what I was getting myself into, I feel like I was very unprepared. Um, and also, I don't even know if I didn't like him. Like I didn't even like him that much to, had things. If I wouldn't have gotten pregnant, it was pretty much like I said, a shotgun wedding. If I hadn't gotten pregnant, who knows? I probably would have not even talked to him after the summer. I'm not sure. But that's with my mom. So I was forced into the marriage
And that's a very
for
transparent
me.
moment. So one of the viewers, she asked, do you think you asked the right questions of your boyfriend, fiance beforehand? And did you do enough vetting? And I'm gonna speak. No. I did not ask any questions. I was younger. And so I didn't know what questions to ask. I didn't know how to probe and find out. What am I asking you if I don't know?
That's
That part
that's
right there.
that's the good point right there. That what you just said, because just like what I led with, I didn't ask any questions. I didn't even know, like you said, I didn't even know what to ask. But the thing is, we didn't even know each other. Like, yeah, I didn't, and I think that's the key, and that's what I like to tell people now is like, it's one thing to have all these kind of feelings, like this chemistry feelings, your loins get warm, but the truth is like when that passes, it's like, who is this person? What do they believe? How do they deal with money? How do they deal with all these things that I should have asked but didn't ask? I'm like, oh, they asked those questions. In retrospect, I can see the mistakes I made now, but
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
And honestly, you end up asking more questions on the job interview than you do for the person you're gonna marry. So I mean, you gotta do both.
Exactly. But I think we're, older now and a little bit wiser. So now we like, okay, you about to get this job interview. So I know like a lot of people will, never been to a church before, but they'll go ask a pastor or someone to marry them. And a lot of pastors will not marry you if you haven't sought marital counseling. So did any of you guys go to marital counseling prior to marriage?
So because we were young and someone mentioned that shotgun wedding, wasn't necessarily a shotgun wedding, but we were young, we had a baby, and we really couldn't afford it. So the pastor of the church that we went to at the time, he compromised and said, all right, well, I want you to listen to these cassette tapes. Dang, that's so old. Listen to these cassette tapes as a way to get that formative information on what makes a marriage work. So that is what we did. That was all the things that we did premaritally.
Well, at least you had some cassettes. Look, we just jumped in. It was like, listen, meet me at the church. And we wasn't even going to the church. We were just like, his mom was like, well, you have to at least go to a church. You know, that didn't help. She was like, but we ended up going to the church, and it was just like, we didn't have any counseling. We didn't know each other. We just showed up. So did anyone else seek marital counseling? At least Amber had cassettes.
I didn't. You did more than I did, Indigo.
Indigo. I'm gonna leave her name.
Indigo, I got you. I got you, sis. I got you. Kia, you're good.
Listen here, y'all. Prior to my head, Indigo. When did you become Indigo? I've known her my whole life, so it's hard for me to transition. I'm sorry, Indigo. I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is just a conversation. We're sitting down with some tea and having fun.
Put Amber in quotation marks so they know that y'all talking about me.
No, I'm gonna get it because, like I said, I don't like when people do that to me. Because I don't want nobody Googling me trying to find me in these streets. So yeah, counseling. I think that is important moving forward. If we go into a new relationship, I think we all are, like, again, wiser. How old were you when you got married, Kalinda? You said 19. So Lola, how old?
19.
Old, 28.
Okay.
20.
Okay. So I think I try to forget that part of my life. I think I was like 24ish. So
She said she tried to forget.
So I just wanted to see, like, where were we at? Like, you know, because Kalinda was 19, so she was very, very young, and Indigo was young also. So you guys were almost like babies. Like, I can't even blame mine on being a baby because you guys were young. You know, you haven't even lived your life yet. Because I know Indigo was like in college, you know, starting her life, finding out who she was. Kalinda was starting her life, and oh yeah.
I don't have any excuse. I can't even lie. What I tell you, I said my loins were warm. I wasn't thinking clearly. I didn't know what to do. Like, it is what it is. So I think for the longest time too, I blamed myself because I knew I didn't really open my eyes and go into it clearly. So I'll take it. Like, I took the responsibility for a long time onto myself because I knew I could have, should have done better.
Yeah, so like I said, I think, you know, the first time going in, like if you buy a house, the first time you might purchase your house, you may not, you know, shout out, you know, plug for Kalinda, she sells real estate, and you may not have all the answers. You do too, Indigo? Oh, okay, so you go in and you don't know the right questions to ask, or how, you know, you might get a bad loan and stuff like that because you don't know. So, you know, we're gonna give it to you, Lola. Even though we were a little older than the other two ladies on the panel, but you know, we didn't know. You know, so that's what it was. So anyone, did you have cold feet before? Because I know Kalinda said that her mom basically said you're getting married. Indigo's like, so
Listen, the cold feet, this is how bad it was. So we were in the pastor's office, and then you have to exchange communion. He dropped my communion wafer on the floor, like, so it's all these signs. My daughter is puking on my grandmother, and it's just everything around me is like, girl, don't do it. I even wore black that day, and everything within me is like, I don't think you really want to do this. But honestly, the shame of being an unwed mother in my religious tradition and amongst my friends and family that just had so much high hopes for me, like, you know, academically, she went to college, she's doing all this stuff. If I didn't do that, I felt like the shame of that would be much heavier than to just go ahead and get married.
I get it. Like you said, you know, she said her cold feet. She was cold feet before she left the house. She had on black. She came for war.
I came for a funeral that day.
Yes, they was like, does she know she's getting married black of all color choices? That was a sign. Lola, so did you get cold feet? You know, you were a little older. Did you like start the night before? Like,
funny enough, no. Like, it probably would have been better if I did, but no, I was like, hey, let's go. I mean, although for me growing up, it wasn't like it's something I dreamt of. I've never dreamt of the aisle and da-da-da. So I was just real clear-minded too. And it wasn't like a wedding. We did a register and then a party. So maybe that was why. But I was good, actually. Funny
Yeah.
enough, clearly I was delusional. But yeah, I had no COVID at all.
I think I was still in that high, like, oh, he picked me, okay? And so I think I was still in that high, but I think it really didn't hit me till we were at the church, and he was like, okay, I can see that you were real nervous, and you was really like thinking like, okay, where's the exit? So I would say probably up until they started reading those vows, which I never heard, because I would have probably been like, I don't mean that. So I didn't get cold feet probably until the pastor was there, saying everything. So what about you, Kalinda? You said you had cold feet. Your mom pretty much said this is what you're doing. Did you want to leave town?
Right. Yeah, I didn't want to do it at all. Like I didn't. He was in the military, so that meant I had to leave my family. I had to leave everything that I've known all my life and stuff just to be with him. So yeah, I had ice cold feet. Like I didn't want to do it. I just knew I had got myself in a situation that I was gonna have to do it. So yeah.
Okay, so we already answered the other question. Some of the questions we answer them in another question. So my next one is, how long were you married?
7 years. Divorced in the 7th year, though.
I want to say it's 10, 15. I want to say 15, but of that 15, probably from we were separated for a long time. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like we would go
baby,
back
you
and
ain't
forth.
gotta do it. That's the same way with me, because I was like, how am I about to answer this question?
Yeah,
I blocked from my memory because it was like it went bad, and then I just pretended he didn't exist for a while, and people were like, who? I'm like, who? Where?
Because we even went back and forth too. Like we had an apartment downtown, so I stayed in the house with my daughter, and he moved there. I think we went in and out like a couple times. Did that, like then like it's. Yes, yeah, I couldn't even put the time on it, but
I get it, Lola. It gets real foggy because when people ask, they're like, "Are you lying? Are you? How you forget that part of your life?" I'm like, no, literally,
I just don't remember.
It's a trauma that sometimes you just block. You like,
but what I can say clearly and definitively is, when did it go bad? When I was like, oh Jesus, was after the first year. My daughter was maybe 1, and I was like, Lord, what am I going to do? So I like to read a lot. I had all the books, Love the One You're With, and church tapes and like the cassette tapes and this and that, like the sermons, like everything. I went through everything. I went all the way up and down, met myself back in the same place. I was like, okay, what next? And that's when it was clear to me.
That you said that, because I think mine went bad, like not even it wasn't after the first year, it was during the first year. Because I think I realized right afterwards that I didn't want to do that. Like, this is not what I wanted to do. So it was problems right away. But you like, I think kind of Indigo touched on it, where she said, you don't, and I think you did too. You don't want to be a failure.
Yeah. I didn't want to be a failure.
My mom and stepdad been together forever, okay? And I have another aunt. She's been with her husband. Might not been healthy, but they've been together forever. So you like, I'm not gonna be the one who signed up for this and be the one to be like, I can't.
No, even for me, I not that I saw them trying, but I figured because I'd seen that, I knew better, and I didn't go into it with unrealistic hopes. I didn't think he was perfect, and so I figured, like, if anybody was gonna make it work, it was gonna be me. Like, I could do this, but yeah, I think that's what made I didn't want to. I felt I was realistic, and I figured I could make this work, because they always say, you put the work in and everything comes at the other end of the tunnel. And it didn't. Like, it didn't work. But I did know that, I did different things, but we didn't make it.
So anyone else want to add?
Well, I can add. I was married 4 years, but we were separated at least maybe a year and a half. I think a year and a half before we finally called it quits. So 4 years.
Okay. So, issues, like I said, we all said we didn't have a manual. We didn't know, what we were getting into. And, like I said, we tried to hold on as long as we could. Now, did anyone seek counsel? Because, I know we mentioned that at the beginning, but did you try to, like, when, you get, a lot of jobs have, counseling that you can get on the job or something like that. So did anyone get counseling?
Yeah, I did. So first of all, I talked to the pastor in my church, who kind of knew us even before we got married. although we didn't get like premarital counseling for him. And he kind of, you know, sat down with us and set out this, you know, this map. You guys do this, do this. And then my ex at the time, like, he was like, whatever. Like, he didn't take it seriously. So then we met up with somebody else, someone outside the church, just a regular counselor. And I think we had 1 or 2 sessions, and like nothing came of it. And then I started doing counseling on my own. And then I was clear, like, yeah. So it became clear to me then. But even then, I had this, when I would talk to my counselor to open up, was my dream. One of my dreams was to wake up and see his side of the closet empty, just to see the hangers. Like, that would just excite me and fill me with joy. And he looked at me like, so why can't you make it happen? I'm like, oh no. But that, yeah. So I kind of started working on it on my own, because together we didn't seem to, like, I don't know why it didn't work in terms of the counseling together, but we never really got anywhere with it.
And you know, you said something interesting, and one of our viewers said you can't make it work by yourself. So like I said, after a while, like I said, I was like, okay, you know what, we in this, let me just go ahead and put some effort in. So when I started putting effort in, you got to also be, the other person has to want it as bad as you. So at one point I wanted it more, so I was like, well, let's go to counsel, let's go talk to the pastor. You know, we did like all these people we're talking to, but he was so cold, so he was already like far removed. And so yeah, we did go to counseling, but eventually one day the counselor, she was like, okay, can you leave out the room for a minute? And I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there. They were in there for like 15 minutes. So, you know, they pick up on body language. So whatever she asked him, she was like, boy, stop playing with my hours, my time. If you want to just pan this, don't keep showing up, you know, whatever. So basically at that point, I started going to counseling by myself. So I did the same thing that you did, Lola. And then I started becoming self-aware of what was going on in my life. Why would you stay with someone that is not healthy? And it was just like that light bulb went off, like, okay, you're good, sis, you're good. So both parties have to just want it, you know. So
even some people don't believe. I think some, and then I think for my ex, he, you know, we're talking about 15 plus years ago at least. And so for him, as a Black man, also of Nigerian descent, like, how much respect did he have for counseling? So he just felt like I was doing a lot of talking. And of course, like I said, for the longest time, because I took the responsibility of things going wrong, because I know I didn't open my eyes going into it, he ran with that and would always like, oh, well, she's the one, the problem is her anyway. So why do I need to come for counseling? So that was really, I think, the biggest thing for him. Yeah, I feel like he wanted it to work more than I did, but he didn't think he needed to do anything. He looked at it like, she's the problem.
Interesting. So now he's like, okay, the closet is empty. He's like, Lola was for real.
I wanted his side of the closet empty. Like, what?
That's that reality, because I remember I did that to my ex when he came in and he was occupying a closet that, like, why are you occupying that space? And that's when he, I guess, realized it hit him. And so I put the stuff, I think, in the hall closet, and he was like running out the house, just like, you know, taking stuff. Sir, calm down.
No,
I was nice enough to still hang it up in the hall closet. So
no, it's true.
That's that reality when the clothes are gone. They like
that's his sign, because the thing is, one of the first or second time when he left and came back, when he came back, his clothes were in the guest place downstairs. They never ended up moving back up. That, to think of it now, his clothes never came back into the closet. I had occupied both, because it was like a walk-in closet. I now had filled into that closet, and he never really came back. And he would sleep in the room, but his stuff was still downstairs.
So you said something interesting earlier. So me and you kind of like parallel, Lola. We got a lot in common. So was it a lot of back and forth for the other two ladies? Because I know Lola said they were back and forth, like the clothes, and, you know, he's back, you try to go to, you know, you do this and you try to make this work. So did you try everything before calling it quits? Like, because I know for me, it was a lot of back and forth, and it was an emotional roller coaster where I finally was like, let me get off this thing.
No, there wasn't any back and forth, honestly. I think at that point in time, we both recognized it just wasn't working. Like, it's not functional. And if you have no desire to work on it, like, if you can see that the relationship could improve with some time, work, and effort, but you have no desire to do that, it's just time to go. And I think we had arrived in a space that we knew we would be better apart. And also, you know, it's a question that might come up later on. We have kids together, and we think that it's most important that the kids see us happy, healthy, and whole. And if that was going to be achieved apart, then let's just go ahead and do it. So that's why I say we were married for 7 years, but we got divorced in that 7th year. Like, it was really quick. It was very accepting and no back and forth.
So I'm gonna stop right now and give Indigo kudos because she went through her situation first. So again, you never know who's watching you. That's why it was so important for me to do this panel, because you never know. And so when I'm going through it, I'm like, these emotions are all over the place. Like, I don't know. I've never heard anyone talk about this. I never experienced this. You know, I was losing weight. It was just like crazy. That was, I need that diet now, but without the stress. But it was crazy. And I reached out. I don't know if she remembered this, but I reached out to her. I was like, nah, you seem like it was seamless. So what did you do? And, you know, she shared some things with me, you know, and again, we are here for each other because again, when you never know what people are going through. And like you said, she was open. So again, kudos to Indigo. Cause yeah, she rocked that thing out. Now, like I said, I don't know what was going on behind closed doors. When she came out, it was seamless. It was like, okay, I'm doing this. And she had children. So it was, you know, amazing for another woman that's going through it to be able to see that you can come out on the other side and be okay.
To be honest with you, the thing that I was aware of, and I can't even tell you why I was aware of it at the age that we separated and divorced, it was realizing that the sooner that we start this, the sooner I can start healing, and then this won't hurt as much anymore. Like, I know that no matter what I will go through, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt like hell. I also had that weight loss, that dramatic weight loss from not eating and everything. And in order for me to be able to sleep at night, eat well, and take care of myself and my kids, I just wanted to rip the Band-Aid off and just move forward. So that's a tip for people out there. If you're thinking about it, like, and say, well, I don't want to deal with the hurt and pain. Look, it's going to come anyway. So just get it over with. And 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, you're not even going to think about it anymore. It's a memory.
Exactly. So like I said, I wanted to do it because sometimes, like I tell people, sometimes people get overly religious and people would not really tell me what, like, they wasn't speaking to what I needed to spoke to. They was like, weeping may last the night, but joy come in the morning. I was like, if I hear that scripture one time, I love that scripture. But right now, that's not helping me sleep at night. Like I said, I'm down to like, I wasn't even a 7-8 Indigo. I had got down like where it was just like crazy. And I was just like, okay, I'm trying to still go to work, still maintain my life. I don't know, you know, where I'm about to live because we're separating, or what do you want to do next? Separating the assets. It was just crazy. So you, again, amazing. Like you said, go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off. Life gets better.
You're going to have sleepless nights. I don't even know how I functioned for that 6 months to a year because I wasn't eating and I wasn't really sleeping. I was just up, just thinking about it the whole time.
Yeah. So would you say the same thing, Lola, that, you know, it was like the sleepless nights, Lola went to bed.
No, let me tell you, my story different, sis. And this is why my siblings call me the Black Heart. I think once I had come to terms with, because I said I put the blame on myself. And when I put the blame on myself, I wasn't looking at him. Like, yeah, he had his issues. The reason why we didn't get on. But that aside, my problem with myself, I'm the greatest critic of myself. And I was like, you knew better. Like you knew better. Let's say, and that's worst case scenario. So you wanted to lay with someone. You should lay with him, got up and then left. Like, but you dragged this and you went into, so it's like I kept blaming myself. But it got to one point where one of my pastors, a lady, she was looking at me one day and she turned to me and she said, forgive yourself. Damn. When she said that, I burst into tears. And then I started forgiving myself. Once we got to that point when I started forgiving myself, because we drug this on for a while. So by the time it was time to chop it, it was like, think of it. Let me give you an analogy of when you have a root canal, they pull out the nerves, kill them with like a certain chemical, but then you still go and pull the tooth. By the time you pull the tooth out, the nerves are dead. So really, I was, by the time that happened, I was completely in like, oh, it's time. I was at the point where it's time and I was good. So I didn't really get that stage because it was drawn out for so long. And it got to a point too, like even in the middle of it, he moved, he left the country, went to another continent. So that helped too. So maybe we would see him once a year, maybe once every 16 months. So all of this kind of helped to like, yeah. So with the initial separation when he left the country, there was that, oh my goodness, that by this time I had 2 kids. It's like, how am I juggling 2 kids? One is 5 months, the other's one 6, 7, and I'm working full time, and I had all these things going on. But I was too busy, like I had to keep going. And so by the time it really got to it, it was just like, it was like pulling out a dead tooth. So I think the pain was in the beginning. So by the time it got to middle and the end, the nerve was already dead. I'd gone to a point where I was indifferent. Like before, when I used to speak to him on the phone when he was still outside the country, I could tell that sometimes I'd be annoyed. But after a certain point, when I realized that, why are you even angry? That even when I got angry with him, that gave him some pleasure. Then I stopped giving him that pleasure. Like one day it just clicked and I just became indifferent. And I guess they say indifference is the worst thing. So I became indifferent and we've moved on from that. Like today, if we talk, is like, you might piss me off, but you're going to have to do 5, 6 things to really get a response out of me.
And that's true. They say once a woman is done, she's done. And my ex-mother actually said that to him when, we were going through our stuff. She was like, when she done. You don't even exist no more. So we mentioned kids. I know Lola mentioned at the onset of the interview. She said that her parents, she was 12 when she realized, like, we y'all just like get away from each other. So you guys all have children. So did the children play a role in your decision? Because you like, a lot of people say, well, we stay for the children, no matter we dragging each other out down the street, and Amber shaking her head like, no. So did the children play a role in it? Because it does, Indigo. I'm sure you've talked to friends. They're like, well, we're staying for the kids, or we're going to do this for the kids.
I think about when my parents went through a divorce, and I remember my sister saying, why you always starting stuff, right? She was really outspoken. She still kind of is. Hopefully she's watching. But it was just like, it was so agitating that their relationship was causing us dis-ease as well. And so for me, that when I thought about my kids, I'm like, I'm not going to have y'all having this much pressure, just trying to be a kid and then thinking about your parents' relationship. So again, the only role that they played is like, let's go ahead and hurry up and break this out before we actually hate each other. My ex and I, we don't hate each other. We're cool. For the longest time, our son thought we were best friends. I don't know where he got that from, but we can be cordial.
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
But what I like what you said, Indigo, was the fact that I think our generation, because we're all like kind of in the same age, range, that we learn from the mistakes of others. So even like how people raise their children, I noticed that there's a difference. Whatever your parents didn't do, you're doing something different. So again, like I said, with the marriage thing, you're like, okay, you know what? Indigo was like, we're not gonna drag this out with the Band-Aid off. Lola, she a real G. She like, sorry.
At some point, like if you stay for the kids, please know that they're going to be calling you up when in their counseling and therapy session talking about, I can't leave my partner because you never left daddy. And I don't want to sit there and be in one session talking about that. So I want them to know that if something does not feel right for you, if it's actually crippling your soul and your growth and your progression, that they know when to stop something and be able to move forward.
Yeah.
Yes, amazing. You guys are providing amazing information, because somebody's going to go back and watch it. Lola texted me earlier and she was like, if we could just help one person, because again, there was nothing out there for me. I'm sure we all said, like, we were just like lost. And, you just need these real conversations with other women that's been through it. If I was able to sit down and have coffee with someone and just be like, hey, let's just have a real conversation versus you just throwing a Bible scripture at me and then hoping to catch. That's what I was getting a lot of stuff. You're like, okay, it's not evidently it's not working because I'm still over here.
Right.
So anyone else want to add anything before we move on? So we kind of already touched on this when it was over. When it was over, like I said, I think I was kind of scared. So when I finally realized it was over for real, like, with all the back and forth or whatever, I think it touched on my insecurities, because I didn't realize how powerful I was. And sometimes I feel like sometimes we won't move. And sometimes I feel like God will move certain situations because we won't move. So once I was in that thing, once I made the decision, like, okay, I'm gonna stay it out, like I'm gonna be a survivor, or I'm just gonna stay in this. I'm gonna stay in this, and I was just pushing, like, okay, I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give up. So once he decided to left, my ego was crushed, but I didn't feel like I could stand on my own, no matter how smart people say I am, no matter how accomplished I am in corporate America, no matter what the things I was doing. I just felt like, dang, how am I supposed to stand alone? You know, like. And that's a whole nother story, because I had become isolated from friends and family and stuff. And it was just like, no, what am I supposed to do now? So how did you guys feel when it was finally over, when you realized I got to start create a new person, a new life?
I was joyful, can't lie. When we submitted that paperwork, I'm not one to do the divorce party with divorce cake, but I can't tell you how relieved, I can't even explain how relieved I was and am. And I think mainly because it's been drawn out for so long, I'm just like, I was looking forward to a fresh start, not just because of someone, but just that space, just that spiritual space, that air, like, and I had peace with everything, because I already know I'd done my best. Was I one who believed in staying for the kids? Not necessarily, but I definitely didn't want it to be a case where was there something I could have done. So yeah, I had a clear mind and I felt just relieved. Like I said, for me, because there's something people say, sometimes you pay on the front end or you pay on the back end. I paid on the front end. So from the middle to the back end, I was just skating, like just chilling, like, okay, this is the right decision, let's go. And I'd already made the decision to myself that if I was going to be alone forever, then I was okay with it. Like if I need to lay with someone, throw some money down on the table. Now I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but if I really needed to be with someone, I'll put some money on the table, pay him, and then have him get up and go. That's if it had to get to that. But I was prepared to be by myself at this point. So it was all good from there.
And that's amazing, because like you said, when you realize that it's over, like I said, you have those certain emotions and certain feelings, and like I said, the negative thoughts. But the thing is look at all these amazing women. You got Indigo over there. She be doing her thing. You never know who's watching you. Like, guys, make sure you check out, although she does some coaching. I'm gonna put her information in the link, but she's a wonderful artist. Okay. Y'all check out my Instagram later, because I'm gonna post her pictures. So when I was going through it, she painted me 2 amazing portraits. Nice. And I said, this is what I need. I said, okay, I'm stepping out on my own. Okay, this is the scripture I like. This is what it was. And it's a beautiful nude woman, but she's covered up. She's not showing anything. It's amazing. So yeah, we just have to understand that we're awesome, and we can be awesome alone. And if you got a partner, it's an added plus. It's a benefit. It's not needed. Yeah. So, what would you say, Kalinda, when you finally realized it was over? Like, you said your mom wanted to push you into the marriage, and family was looking at you like, okay, Kalinda, she's married. We married her off. So, when you realized it was over, how were you feeling?
Actually, I made the decision to leave. We were overseas because he was in the military. So while we were overseas, I was like, I just can't continue to do this. So I went and I looked up for a ticket. I went to a travel agent to look up the ticket, and they had a 50% off sale on flights from London, because I was in London at the time, London to the US. And, with being so young, about 21 years old, I was like, this is the sign. That's the sign.
You're like Indigo. She said, this is the sign when the baby threw up. She's like, this is the sign.
Yes, that was the sign. Like, the tickets were like 50% off, like, which never happened. So it was just like, this is my time to get out. So I at that time, I put the deposit down to start paying on my tickets for me and my son. And I went home and I told him that we were leaving and I wanted a divorce. And, just gave him a couple of, just let them know that we'll be leaving in a couple of months and heading back home.
So this person, I didn't even catch you off, said something interesting. So I've had, like Lola said, no divorce parties or whatever. So I was talking to someone that was leaving the courthouse with their ex, and they went to go get ice cream. I was like, why are y'all going to get ice creme? Y'all are divorced. So what did you do after the papers were signed? Like,
me and my girls got together and we kicked it. We got dressed up. We went out, we hung out downtown, and I mean, I felt free. Like I didn't realize how good I felt and how good I could feel until it was over. So
I want to point out that word you just said, free. That's what whoever's watching this. Sometimes I kind of touched on it a minute ago when I said that I would have never walked out. So sometimes we're put in a position where it's time to go, and we won't move. And so when she said that word free, because now I feel freer than I've ever felt in my entire life. But you wouldn't have been able to tell me that when it was going on. Like I wake up, like I did a video last week. I was in here just happy. I don't even know why. I was in here dancing and singing. I can't sing a note. I was singing one of Mary's new songs. So again, it's that freedom that you just like, I could be the best best person I could be, whoever God has me, to be. So what did you do, Kalinda? You said you did a ticket, Lola. What? I'm scared to ask Lola.
No, it's funny enough. When I went to sign the papers and signed, I went to go get some jerk chicken.
Some jerk chicken.
Some jerk chicken. So
okay.
That was just. So it was a weekday. I couldn't do much, but yeah, I just went to at least treat myself to a nice meal. And I love jerk chicken. So yeah, there is that. I feel that sense of, wow, it's done finally after all of that. And so you do feel this. Yeah, I felt free. And
now
I felt
I have
relieved.
a taste for jerk chicken. Okay. And it's not a lot of good spots here, so I'll have to figure that out. So, I know somebody's watching this, and what really helped you get through? We kind of touched on it, but let's just be clear on what helped you get through personally. Like, what did you do when you figured out all the stuff wasn't working? What helped you?
God, really, and I think through people. My pastor, like I said, initially he talked to me and my ex in the beginning when the issue started. So he was like he was someone observing on the side. By that time, I wasn't very close to my pastor at the time, so I wasn't really telling him what was going on. But he would just continue to watch me. And what I liked about him and how we became close is he wasn't the kind of pastor who read Psalm 23 and Psalm 91 and that. Nah, he didn't read that. He gave me real life, examples, practical, he was talking to his daughter, not just talking to someone who was in his church. And so that was very helpful. So after a while, once we became closer, I could level with him and tell him the truth. And so he would just still, okay, well, no, do this, do that. And then when he realized that things weren't really changing, he got to a point where he asked me, what do you want to do? Where are you in this relationship? And so just those kind of things, just asking real questions and giving me that space. He never really said, well, you should do this. But he would just he was playing like a therapist somewhat. And then he would just kind of watch me, encourage me, and we'll just kind of go through it. And then eventually when I kind of told him what I wanted to do, he's like, well, if that's what you want to do, I'm not here to judge you. Well, this is what needs to happen. Have you spoken with him? Let me speak with him. So just having that person to speak with. And I think it got to a point in my spirit too, where I felt I was okay letting go, releasing it. Okay, yeah. I didn't look at it as a failure or me not doing what I should have done or what I could have done or failing where my parents failed. It was just time. And I'd stopped judging myself and kind of looking at myself you know what, look at what you did. You know better. Once I stopped judging myself and that voice, I quieted that voice down, then it worked. So I think it's a combination of having a support system. I have a lot of siblings. I have 11 other siblings. There's 12 of us in total. I don't know if my ex is going to be listening to this, but there was no love lost between them. They weren't feeling him. And so they were like the peanut gallery shouting, kill him. So I had that. So when I get to that mood, kill him, I'd go listen to them. There was one particular sibling of mine who's like a philosopher. So he's very objective. And so when I'd speak with him, he could still be very objective in a situation. So if I needed to hear that kind of voice, I could talk with him. And of course, just sitting with God and I never did. I won't lie and say I heard God say, hey, he said, go. Yes, I didn't. No, I didn't hear that, but I had peace. I had peace with my decision then. I still have peace with it now. So it's really the support system. I had my family, my pastor, and just my spirit. And of course, I'd gotten into meditation at a certain point in time. Meditation really helped just clear my mind. So I was clear as to what I wanted, not what I thought people wanted me to do, not what I thought was better for my kids, not what I thought was better for everyone else, just what was best for me. And I was able to hear that voice clearly and go with it.
That's some good information. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was an instrumental part of just my healing and being able to get through it. I had to go back into my body. When I talk about my relationship and my marriage, it literally, there are blocks of time and years that I just can't remember. I will look at pictures and I don't remember being there, doing those things. And so I know that in order for me to get back in my body, because I made so many decisions with my mind, based on someone's perceptions, how I wanted people to view me and see me. And so what really helped me through it is meditation practice, yoga, running, really being in this body and understanding how do I feel about things. I can tell you about what I think about a lot of things, but I can't honestly tell you how I feel because that part of me was disconnected. I had to shut it down if a lot of things that happened in the marriage bothered me, but nothing would happen, nothing would change, nothing would shift. And so my feelings became diminished with my partner, but also I started to diminish them. And so, really being able to be still, be quiet, go within, getting away from everything that's norm. I went away to yoga retreats. I also participated in group therapy, went to coaching, went to counseling. And honestly, I didn't want anyone else's opinion. It was so important for me to finally hear me and be honest about myself, knowing my truth, living my truth, and being it.
So, Indigo, you just made chills run down my body because when you said the part of, like, the out of body, like sometimes you don't even realize you're depressed or you're in some stuff, like you just like, what happened? When did that happen? And you just realized that you didn't even realize how unhappy you were or the things that were, leading up to it. You were just existing. And then I like how when you said when you finally took that time by yourself and says, what does Indigo want? What, you quieted the world, because people will try to tell you what to do. You should stay. He cheated with 6 women and the prostitute. You be like, you want me to stay?
And the prostitute.
Yeah.
The guy just did that in Detroit. He was a FedEx driver. He stopped and picked up a prostitute. That's why that was on my mind. But anyhow, you needed a little gig to lighten the mood. So, but some people will tell you to stay. Well, he paid the bills. He paid the bill, but he did this. So you're telling me to stay. So I think that was very key, Indigo, that you decided to say, you know what, let me just step out. Let me find out what I want, where I want to go with this. Do you want to add anything, Kalinda?
Yeah, I wanted to say that, for me, how I got over it, my aunt actually, and she was married at the time, she just sat me down and she told me, hey, marriage is hard. There's nothing wrong with being a single mother. There's nothing wrong with being a single mother. You can just, if that's your choice, it's your choice. And so when she gave me that confirmation, and I was okay with leaving, and I was young, so I didn't meditate. I partied. I hung out with my girls. Okay, that's what I did. Okay, I was in the streets. All right, I was back in the streets, but it taught me something that I just moved forward knowing that, I really wanted to date. I never really wanted to date someone less than like 2 years, so I can see what I had. You can't fake it. You can fake it for 6 months. You can fake it for a year, but 2 years, you can't be a fake person for 2 years. So whatever demons are hiding in the back are going to come out if in 2 years. So that was one of my rules at that point. Like after that, no rushing through a relationship and hurrying up into marriage. It was slow and steady from that point on.
Okay, so we touched on a lot of stuff. And I don't know if anyone would do anything differently. Because sometimes, like I said, we are enjoying this freedom. Life is good. So what advice would you give someone thinking about getting married today, knowing what we know now?
Open your eyes. There's something Nigerians say. They say, before you get into a relationship and get into marriage, they say, shine your eyes. That means open your eye. When you get into the marriage, they say, close your eyes. So I think it's just what I didn't do. I wasn't paying attention. I was just like, whoop, 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 whooped into a marriage. That's what I literally did. So I think it's being very clear on who you are first, what you want second, what is it that you want? Because once you know what you want, then that's when you decide, what do I want in a partner? And then also discussing important things. I didn't do that. Money, sex, children, lifestyle, what you want to do in the future. I don't remember having those kind of conversations, like real conversations. And I don't think nothing can replace time. Like literally, like what you were saying, Kalita, like you can date someone, you can meet someone's representative for 6 months, but they can't keep it up for a year and a half, 2 years. So there really is something to be said about time into dating. Like I remember a long time ago when I was working in a pharmacy or in a hospital pharmacy, and one of the pharmacists was talking with someone on the phone. She was Indian, and what had happened, her parents were trying to match her with certain people. They'd given her like a list of maybe 6 or 7 candidates, and she was interviewing one of them on the phone. And at that time, she's like, "Do you smoke?" I was laughing. I'm not laughing now because I'm thinking back, like she was onto something. Like you literally, like he was saying, indigo. That's how I say it. You're literally interviewing the person, like certain things, and then you can get into like these robust conversations to get to know the person. Essentially, get to know the person. Everybody wants different things. I know for me, that person needs to be my friend, and I didn't really think that through. So it's like, what are the things that work for you, and does that person meet them? And then there's sometimes you are going to feel lonely, but don't make decisions while you're feeling lonely, because you're just gonna make the wrong decisions. Like when you don't know what to do, don't do anything. Just be still. I think that's what I tell them.
Anyone else want to add? What advice would you give someone thinking about getting married today? There's a 19-year-old girl out there. There might be a 24-year-old woman out there that, you know, like that, your biological clock. Sometimes, you know, people feel like, you know, society, you have to be married by a certain age. You know, you got your career going, you know, whatever. So what advice, anyone else want to give advice to that person that's thinking about getting married right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 things that come to mind. Change is inevitable. Like that is going to happen. Your relationship is going to be a series of getting together and breaking up because you are going to be a different person. They're going to be a different person. Who you are now is not going to be who you're going to be in 2 years, 5 years, and so on and so forth. So understand that you may not necessarily grow together. You may not evolve together. You may evolve with 2 different ways and visions on how to do life. And so you're going to have to keep asking yourself the same questions you did when you first dated. You might have to keep asking those questions. What do you think about these things? Because it could have changed. The other thing that I think is really important is to understand what your relationship with disappointment is and what theirs is. Like, who are you? What do you become when your emotional, spiritual, your professional, or mental needs are not being met? Like what comes out when those things are not being met? Because there's a chance that it's not going to get met by your partner. And you also need to ask the partner, like, what is your relationship with these things? And then how will you go about, you know, coping with it and being able to overcome? But you really need to know what those details are and how you are able to exist when things don't go the way that you want them to.
So the key thing that I heard was the check-in, because we change. And so, you know, the person that you meet when you get married, so let's say you get married at 24, may not be who you are when you're 30. So that check-in is very crucial, you know, going in that you do normal check-in. Like even with your, you know, like you said, it's like we got to treat it like a job. Because your job, you do check-ins. They do a yearly review, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what your anniversary should be. Your anniversary shouldn't be going out to eat and going out to, you know, wherever else on the airplane. It should be like, all right, it's an annual review. Do we have the same goals? Do we have the same mission? Do you see us still going in the same place that we were going to go before? Cool. All right. Well, I'll meet back with you in a year and just keep doing that because something along the line could change.
Yeah.
You know what? I love this conversation because, like I said, you know, we'll get to that question later. Like, you know, if anyone wants to get married again. So these are good things to, you know, consider, like, okay, like the check-in. And I think, you know, I did another show and they was like, well, it's almost like a business because we don't want to make it sound like a business transaction, but it sounds like we need to treat it like a business. Like Lola said, when you do a job interview, okay, they're asking all these questions, we might need to be treated like, sorry, but hey, love don't, you know, keep us together. So you want to add something, Kalinda, before we move on?
Yeah, I just want to add that to the ladies. Again, I agree with the know yourself. Once you understand yourself, then you want to be with someone who's going to allow you to be yourself too. Not try to change you into their ideal of whatever this marriage should look like.
So my advice would be for someone thinking about getting married, number one, make sure you get counseling. I would also say don't do it for the right reasons, because someone posted earlier, some people want a wedding, not the marriage. And I've heard like a lot of older women say that, like, okay, y'all just want to get married and have the, you know, flowers and the bridesmaids and all that stuff, but do you really like that person? Can you see yourself being with that person? So I would just say make sure that you are clear while you're getting married, that you're not getting married because you want to look good on paper, or you're trying to, just fit in with what you think that you should be doing. So that would be my advice. So let's get into that divorce thing. What encouragement would you give a woman that is going through a divorce right now? She's sitting at home.
Yeah, I guess you just have to be a support for her, I think. Oh, was someone talking?
No. I said, if we take a snippet of this,
Yeah.
if you're speaking to a woman right now, because someone's going through a divorce right now, and she's sitting on the edge of her bed, it's 2:00, it's a Saturday, and she knows she need to be getting up, because I told the older lady this one time. I said, sweetie, I can't do your drama. Do you understand how some mornings I can't even get up out of my bed, where I'm sitting there looking like, how am I supposed to go to work today? I need this paycheck, but how am I supposed to move forward? Then she's like, well, what are you trying to say? What I just said. I don't even want to take a shower today. Y'all can judge me in the comments later, but it was times where it was just like, I don't have nothing for y'all today.
So that means you have to fill your tank. So you're looking for, so how do you fill your spirit? What I don't know if the person's a Christian. For me, it's always God and family, but what does that person like? Other people, they might be Buddhist, they might need meditation, yoga, other things might just work for them, but you need something. You can't run on empty, and particularly if you're going through something like that, I would say definitely don't do it on your own. Family, God, friends, somebody there to kind of prop you up and get you through it, particularly if it's something that's painful for you, like you were saying, like you'll get to a point where you didn't feel like getting out of bed. You need a support system. And it's sometimes we feel bad asking for help, I'm included, but ask for help. Sometimes it's difficult and it's uncomfortable, but reach out and ask for help, because there's somebody close to you that you could ask for help. Sometimes you just want to appear that, that thing about being strong. Like I hate and I like it at the same time, that term, the strong Black woman. I hate it because then you're saying that I don't need help, and then I'll just continue to wear that. That means I should continue to suffer in silence. So reach out for help, get something. Counseling is a great thing, but if you can't afford it, then it's family. And of course, church is always there. You need support. Someone will get you through it. And the truth is, just to tell you, it's like, it will get better in the morning. There's something I used to tell myself when I was in med school was, there's some days like I felt like I couldn't do it anymore. Because of course I had 2 kids, I was single, by myself. But what I would end up doing would be right after class, once I got home, make sure the kids had eaten, I'd sit down and watch a show for about an hour and a half, maybe 2, like totally just disconnect, and then go to sleep and wake up in the next morning ready to start it all over again. The morning was always a new opportunity to start again, for a fresh start. So that's what it is. It's like one day may not be great, but just go to sleep, and then the next day is another opportunity to start all over again for a better day.
So if I could just piggyback off of what Lola said, because like I said, a lot of times people are embarrassed. That's why they're sitting on the edge of that bed, because you don't feel like you can trust people. Because like a lot of people, we waiting for your downfall, and it's sad to say, but some people be like, oh yeah, Kalinda, they getting a divorce. Oh, Indigo, wow, how, and you be like, okay, why is this like TMZ? This is not even TMZ worthy. So you have to have that support system that you can trust. Like they're not waiting to get off the phone with you and tell the next person, what's going on in a negative light, and then you really feeling some type of way. So just get a support system that that's solid. Like, Lola said, her and her pastor, he saw her. So find that, person that you can really like, get close to. It might be an older person. It might be that old lady down the street. You never know who, is going to be there for you. Anyone else have advice for that woman that's going through it right now?
Woman, man, whoever is going through this side of breakup, first piece of advice is don't try to force yourself to get better. Like, just feel it, be in it. It's okay. You don't want to clean your ass. That's okay. Just don't do it. You ain't got to. You don't have to do anything for anyone, because this is your relationship. This is your healing. This is your processing. So just be in it, and it's okay. Like, you're not expected to have a mask on for anybody else. Be authentic to what's happening within your body, what's happening in your mind, so that way you know how to properly address it. Because if you cover it up with anything else, you're just prolonging and delaying your ability to overcome it. And the other thing is, put more time, effort, and emphasis into becoming the person that your partner wasn't able to fulfill for you. So if it was a financial need, maybe you guys were beefing over finances, then you know what? You create the plan to become more financially stable. If they weren't giving you the love and intimacy, then you need to find a way to date yourself, to love and appreciate yourself. You become those things because no one should complete you. You need to be whole and healthy on your own. So that way, when you get into the next relationship, if that's something you decide to do, you're both whole together. And that's so much better.
Y'all are speaking a mouthful, because when you say, like, you got to give yourself time, because a lot of times people be like, you're not over it yet, and then you're rushing, and then you have that breakdown because you're not healed. I'm just gonna jump back in, I don't feel anything. This is gonna hit you when you don't least expect it, or when you don't want it to. Kalinda, do you have any advice for someone out there that's going through it right now?
Yeah, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to grieve it. That's it. That's really it. Once, because it's something that you thought was forever, and you were disappointed, you were hurt. You have to grieve it, and then just don't try to take it beyond where you can take it. A day, an hour, 30 minutes, and once get it all out, and then do nice things for yourself.
And mine was kind of simple. Like I said, once I decided to, jump in the shower and say, hold on, wait a minute, you got life all messed up. What was cool for me was I found shows that I liked. It was some corny shows that I would be at the house just laughing. So I know, we canceled Seventh Heaven, but Seventh Heaven was one of the ones that I was watching. They don't even play it on TV no more. It's gone because, what he did. But that show, because the little kids were just so hilarious on the show, so I would sit there and watch it. So find something that makes you happy, that when you had that downtime, that you're just not sitting there with your thoughts, the negative thoughts. Like you said, some women out there be like, well, let me go burn the house down. You doing stuff that you don't want to recommend. Don't, Lola, you laughing, but there's women that have too much on the line and get crazy because somebody say he's with Simone at the restaurant, and you come there and lose your mind. No, I just really found the things that made me happy, like music that made me happy, music that sings to me. Like I literally be having concerts in my house. So find the things that make you happy, the things that bring you joy. Surround yourself with the positive people. That's in real life. When you got those negative people, those people will bring you down. So stay around the people that, bring joy. Come over. Let's watch this movie.
Can I add something? I think we really need to get rid of this illusion that it's going to be forever, because I think that might be something that some people are going into relationships thinking that it's going to be forever. We're not even at jobs forever. At some point, wherever you are, if you're working someplace and you realize this is about as high I can go here, it's not really fulfilling my skills or my talents, and I know I can grow someplace else, and this no longer fits me, we're okay with leaving a job. I think the same thing goes for a marriage. If you are not thriving in your marriage and you feel like you're just surviving, or in any kind of relationship, really be okay with realizing that it might just be for a season. That relationship is just for a season. It may not be forever, because the forever concept is an ideal that we all try to strive for. But an ideal is still an idea, and it doesn't mean that it's reality.
And I get that, because I've actually, the husband, tell me, he's like, that's his name. Sarah's laughing. Indigo's laughing. So with that being said, sometimes we have expectations, and our expectations on other folks, that's when we end up being disappointed, because you expecting certain things and you just don't get them. And you're like, okay, now I'm sad, I'm depressed. So yeah, I get that. A lot of us, like I said, divorce is not an option. And then you're basically dying. You're dying a slow death. So let's get into lighten the mood. So knowing what you know now, would you get married again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I don't hear my doctor friend. Did you say anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I know. I said yeah. I mean, because now I know. I mean, you can never know everything. You can never ask all the questions, but at least I go in with a clearer understanding of who the person I'm dealing with. Because really, it's two different people coming together. So yeah. Do I have to get married again? No, but if we got to it, because I for me, one thing I do believe about marriage, it's definitely important, because when you want to have children, I'm not planning to have any more children. So even having a life partner or companion is great. But if we do get to the marriage stage, I'm not against it, because I feel like I can see a little bit clearer.
So I consider the first one a dress rehearsal because you learned a lot. So now I was talking on another show last night, and I was like, 'cause the person that I am today, I said, not to toot my own horn, but I feel amazing. So it's just like the things that you've learned about yourself, it takes two in a marriage. So it wasn't just all on him. It was things with me. So now that I'm in touch with myself, I'm like, okay, girl, you got it together. So I'm looking at all these faces smiling, and you got Indigo over there. Like, when I tell you guys, I am glad to be on a panel with you guys. You guys are an awesome group of women. Like I said, I keep talking about her artist side, but Indigo was drawn when she was a kid. She would draw stuff and put it on the refrigerator. I didn't get one though. I guess because I was a kid too. But I have her art now on my living room wall, 2 pieces. But the women that we are, and then you got Dr. Lola. Come on now, come through, Dr. Lola in the house. Now he's sitting somewhere looking like Dr. Lola. When you tell him, call me Dr. Lola. And Kalinda, she has so many businesses, so we're like, you're able to find out who you are. Like, Amber, she said something interesting. If it was finances, are you making yourself financially ready? And that's the prep work. People are like, why are you still single? Or why you're not doing this? Because I'm prepping myself. I don't want to come in with baggage. I always said I want to be debt free. So I worked on that. I was like, okay, if I don't want him to have all this debt, what I look like coming over here looking all raggedy, talking about, so what's your credit score?
How you gonna want somebody with muscles and you still, you got a fupa and tupa and everything else?
Whoa, you stepped on people's necks.
Don't go there.
You stepped on people's necks.
Like, you come with, but Kia mentioned just the artwork. That was actually a symptom, because before the marriage, I was creative, writing poetry, short stories, and art. For the entire 7 years that I was married, none of that occurred.
Wow.
And then when I got divorced, then I realized I could still draw, and I cried when I drew again, because I just thought I had lost all of it. And then it just exploded.
That's that freedom. That's that freedom. When you say you're free to be creative. Like I told people, I said, my book From Pain to Love, y'all would have never probably got that. I would have probably never even dropped anything. You know what I'm saying? Because you're so occupied with what you're in the midst of, like you said. And I remember those days that Indigo mentioned earlier, where she was saying, like, it's pictures, it's times of your people. I'm serious. It's times that I think blocked out. I don't know. They're just gone. And you're like, I don't know what I was feeling. Okay, I don't remember it being there. Okay, if you say so. Okay. But yes, I think we are awesome. So we all would get married, and we've taken in our new lessons learned. I think it's going to be amazing when whoever finds us, they're going to be like, okay,
very fortunate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indigo, they said you coming for, I don't know what you just said. They said you coming for next today.
No, when she said, why are you looking for a 6-pack when you don't have one? Like, yeah, that's that part. Like, that's when she coming for the next.
So I hope you guys, like I said, if you have any other conversations that you want to have, or anything else you want to add before we leave out, shoot me an email. Say, hey, Kia, what do you think about this subject? And I hope that all the ladies on the panel will come back and join me again about other stuff, things that ladies are going through, or, just hot topics, stuff that we just need to talk about.
There was something Crystal asked that I actually wanted to answer when she said, What did the kids say? So my daughter, who's a little old at the time, she was like, oh, I thought you guys were already going through the process. My son is 6 years younger than she is. And he burst into tears. And then he was like, he didn't want to talk about it. And then like a day or 2 days later, I was talking with him. And that's why I'm bringing it up, so you can be aware of it. He was like, is it my fault? It sounds crazy as grown-ups. Like, why would you think it's your fault? It's got nothing to do with you. But that's how the children will process it. Like, is it something I'm doing or not doing? Which is why you guys didn't make it. I mean, he's good now. But that was the question he had on his mind, of was it my fault? So it's like when there are children involved, you want to make sure you're giving them special attention and reassure them it's not your fault. It's not something you did. It's not something you didn't do. Don't worry about it. We both still love you. Like, they need to know that whoever the children's with, whether it's with the dad or it's with the mother, I definitely don't want you bad-mouthing the other parent, even if they are the devil themselves. Like, let the children come to that decision on their own. Just leave that space, because you didn't pick that partner. You picked them, they didn't. So why should you now bring them into it? So you just both parties want to continue to try and help the children just grow, so you can help their development. So I think that's important. That's why I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, and may I answer Crystal's question in the chat? She asked if my relationship, did he stifle or my creativity, or I felt like I needed to change for him. No, that was all me. I stifled my own creativity. I thought that I needed to change because it was, at the time, I thought I needed to fulfill these roles, and my role as a Christian was more important than my my creativity. And um, sometimes you understand religion and spirituality in a way that may not necessarily be healthy for you. And so, my role as a Christian, my role as a mother, my role as a wife are the things that I decided I had to be less of me to be more of those things. And as I've become older and wiser, I realized that that wasn't the way I need to do it. If anything, those roles should have enhanced who I already was.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, like I said, I really enjoyed you guys this afternoon. We had a little slow music in the background.
Yeah, I heard that too. I kind of like it. I know StreamYard has these options now. I think that's a cooler option. They're just
Yes, it
it's
kind of like,
mellow.
yeah, it kind of relaxes us, make it seem like it's not so, intense. And I think we did a good job of, bringing the message, because someone, like I said, is gonna, take something away from this. I always tell people, chew the meat, spit out the bones. There's some, something in here for everyone. Our situations are different. We came from different walks of life. We married at different ages for different reasons. So I do truly believe that we will touch someone. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you ladies. I asked one time and you guys said yes. So the thing is that when we come in a situation, when you go through and you're willing to help that person, that you don't know what you are doing for that person. You don't know if you're saving a life. You don't know what you're doing. So this is like a beautiful thing that we have this. We dated ourselves. We all had cassettes. Do y'all see 2022 when we're on a live platform sharing our stories, and someone can go back and watch this story? Some random person might just hit marriage or divorce and see us and be like, oh my gosh. So again, I want to make sure you guys, again, if you have something Indigo that you want to talk about, let me know. We can come back. Kalinda, same thing. Lola, same thing. Lola has a channel. So we're going to go ahead and close, but I want you guys to speak on what you're doing, because believe it or not, when you come on these platforms, people fall in love with you. People want to know more about what Indigo is doing. So Indigo, can you tell them what you're doing?
Yeah, so again, this is Indigo, also known as Amber, but please call me Indigo. They've been calling me Amber this whole time.
That's my fault.
It's okay. But I am an intentional living coach, and what that means is that I support people in living purposeful, productive, and balanced lives. And what that means is to be able to live a life that makes you smile, not anyone else, because it's important to you. So I'm available for coaching remotely. I'm also a visual artist. So if you go to www.indigokali, no I at the beginning, you can check out some of the things that I do, or follow me on Instagram. Would love to connect with people, love to be able to support you in living your highest calling and living a life that just brings you joy.
Yeah, so her information is in the comments, guys. So if you want to reach out to her, her information is in the comments, okay? So make sure you hit those links. If you go back and watch the video later, their information is there, and I'll also put it in the bio, because I want you guys to follow these ladies and support each other. So now we have Miss Kalinda. Her information is in the comments also. Yeah, tell us about yourself, Kalinda.
Okay, so I am, like I said, I'm not only a real estate agent and a loan originator in the state of Michigan. I also have a clothing and shoe brand that I'm launching. Well, I launched the shoes. I have a T-shirt that I'm going to work on that's going to be coming out, as well as a set, and then a summer sandal, jewel summer sandal. So I have some things in the work. So definitely follow me on Instagram. Also, I just had my website redesigned at shopkalindarose.com. It is amazing. And just look out for more. I got my and Kalinda Rose is officially trademarked. I got my registration from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And also, I like helping people. I'm kind of busy right now, like trying to get some things in order, but If anyone needs some business advice, I am here to help. Just reach out to me.
And she will, like I said, she even helped me. Like I said, we'll catch up, and whether it's like she's in the grocery store ordering her groceries, picking up her groceries, or whatever she's doing. We just sometimes touch bases. Again, you never know who you're helping. It's not always just about relationships, that you don't know how you can impact someone's life. So sharing is caring. Lola,
What's
you wanna
up?
go ahead and let
What's
us know
up?
what you're doing?
So, well, me, of course, I work full-time position, but my pet time side hustle love project, of course, my YouTube channel. What do I do on that YouTube channel? I do review shows, particularly shows about love and relationships. Right now I'm working on Ready to Love, but I do topics like this as well. This particular topic was important to my heart, but the whole point of being on YouTube for me was having conversations about things that mean something to us. Because not only does the hearer, the watcher get something, but me speaking about it also helps me as well. So just doing that. So yeah, just definitely join me on my YouTube channel, which is up there. And of course, I do put little clips of my videos on my IG, which is my name, Lola Ajishafe, MD. And that's how you'll find me on IG. And Kalita, I haven't got a business yet, but when I'm ready, I'm going to hit you up and ask you for advice, because I need a couple side hustles. That's how it works in this world right now. One side hustle's not enough.
I agree.
Yes, if you guys the way she break her, you might not even watch reality shows, but sometimes she will do reality shows. You don't even have to watch the show to get her breakdown, because she'll relate it. It's relatable to real life. So I love her reviews. Like, she's like the bomb. She'll have you be like, okay, where's the collection plate, Lola? So she's amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and just head out. Look, we said we need more than one side hustle these days. So make sure you guys network when you guys leave here. Again, I picked you guys because I knew that we would mesh real good together today. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and close out. But anyone have anything to say before we close?
Thank you for allowing us to share our stories. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Kia.
Thank you, because y'all know I was scared. I did not want a YouTube channel. I used to just jump on and be. So now we're doing.
But now you're on
live.
YouTube all the time. I see you, your stories, your this, your that, the show, the this. I'm like, when does she work? When does she sleep? Like, I can barely get one video out a week. Like, I meant to get a video out after this, and it's like, how do you find the time? Like, you're on all the time.
It's important. That's why I said I'm reaching out to you and anyone else in the comments if you have some good content, because Lola, we vibe because I refuse to do content that doesn't serve a purpose. This was near and dear to my heart. So when I do a show, it has to be something that's meaningful, that's going to be impactful. I don't want to talk about something crazy just to get some ratings. So again,
that's not my mission, exactly. And that's the thing. Sometimes we find out is being true to who you are, what your mission statement is, because other people may find success doing other things. And sometimes I stop and I always ask myself, thankfully I don't eat with YouTube. Is this what you want to do? Because you got into it because you enjoyed it and you're doing something that meant something. So even when I break down these reality shows, there's a point to it. I say I'm breaking down real life principles using reality TV as an example, but I'm just not going to talk about making good because I just want to tell you about the headlines. If there's something I learned, because it's always not because I'm the teacher, but something I'm learning, I'm sharing. Did I learn something from it? And this is what I learned. And so, that's the whole point. So I love that you said that, Kia, because it's so important. Stay true to who you are. There are people who can be a Tasha K, but I'm not Tasha K. That's it.
So thank you. And again, feel free to drop in the comments if you want to send some love to the ladies or you have their contact information. But yes, make sure you support these ladies because they are awesome and amazing. And we're going to go ahead and just head out, everyone. Peace.